and how events are still just advancing, despite such a big patch coming up. But anyways, the Boston Major taking place. So just kind of going over the overview for those that somehow may have missed it. Don't know how you did, but this is the Boston Major. The final results, of course. OG are your three-time Dota 2 Major champions. Very deserving. I happen to pick OG to win it all for those that had watched my stream before now, and the actual predictions. Now, obviously, in the bracket predictions, I went a little bit trolly and did pick Complexity Game, and of course, had some fun with that. But ultimately, OG was the team that I honestly, truly expected to win. As far as if happen to pick one team, and it was so. Part of me is like, you know what, I chose right. That feels good, right? I know that they were kind of a team going into this that maybe was a little bit disrespected in some ways. I mean, we're talking about a team that going into this obviously had won 2 of the 4 majors that had currently taken place before. Very, very skilled and experienced players, but I feel like a lot of people were kind of giving them that credit. Instead, they were kind of looking over that. I mean, they were seeing other competition elsewhere, which is fine. Teams like Evil Geniuses, Digital Chaos, Wings Game, and of course, Virtus Pro with their hot streak coming in. There were so many storylines. It's like, okay, it's understandable why not everyone's picking OG, but again, I saw OG for what they were. For what they were, and with that experience and with their ability to grind, and they not only did they win it all, but honestly they were quietly one of the most impressive teams at the event, if not the most impressive. Now, the storyline is not even that though. Sure, OG winning it all, 3-time major champions. They won their $1 million. Congratulations! I got the chance to talk with Fly and No Tail actually quite a bit, both before they won and after. So it was kind of cool, them remembering me and being able to kind of think back on the Han days, but also just how awesome it is that they've done so well, and they were excited that I'm coming into the Dota 2 scene. So it was really cool. Really, really cool there. But Ad Phenom, no doubt, was the storyline of this event. I mean, they didn't even win it, yet they are the team that everyone is really so hyped about from this event. Now, they got second place, which obviously is still very, very good, taking home that $500,000 prize pool. And I think it's very safe to say really no one expected that. Now, I know, they were kind of a flavor team going into this event. There were people suggesting, like, oh, yeah, Ad Phenom going all the way, baby. But even me a little bit, I kind of had that going because, again, I am half Greek, seeing this whole Greek team and the grind that they put in. And I was rooting for them to do well like so many people. But realistically, I think I'm not alone in saying that we did not expect them to ultimately do too well in the end. But they ended up doing that. They finished runner-up. The hype was so real around them. These guys were just so fun to watch. Spartan especially leading the way, of course, their captain. Just the energy that they had in this event was just over the top. It was really amazing to watch and be a part of, especially there in person. I actually got the chance to sit next to their management for a good amount of their matches. Their manager, their coach, I guess, that were there, and it just seeing their faces and their reactions to whenever big plays happened and how hyped they were. And I remember going to give their manager, I forget his name now, I apologize, but a high five after they had won. I think it was their semifinal matchup actually against who did they beat in the semifinals? They beat Digital Chaos. That's right. I went to go give him a hand, and he goes like this. Boom, and we collide, and my hand was just like, holy shit, dude, that was so hard. My hand freaking hurts now, but it's just the emotion, just the pride that they had for their team, and it was just an amazing experience to be a part of. So, Ad Phenom again, the hot story there, as far as the Boston Major went. And then you got kind of other side of the spectrums, a little bit of disappointment from teams like Virtus Pro specifically. They got knocked out in that 5th, 8th place spot. They lost to Evil Geniuses, of course, in their matchup. And by lost, they frankly got crushed. I mean, it was 2-0, right? Let's scroll all the way down here. Yeah, it was 2-0, and yeah, you see 19-minute match the first match, 53, I guess, the second one. Maybe not as bad, but I do remember watching pretty much all that series and thinking to myself, like, holy shit, Evil Geniuses is definitely the better team in this match here. So, Evil Geniuses, there's their side. Obviously, then they went on and then they lost 2-0 to OG, but they had to beat both Wings and Virtus Pro to get there, arguably 2 of the stronger teams in this event to get to that point. So, but I'm sure feeling good about that and advancing on to the semifinals, but still a disappointing finish, no doubt. And it's going to make for yet again another interesting episode of what would be the 3rd and final episode of this first True Side, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, we'll see how that plays out when it eventually comes out. But WG Unity, another team that kind of maybe surprised a lot of people. Obviously, they defeated Complexity in the first round. Maybe not necessarily the biggest, craziest victory there by any means, but a solid victory there. They beat Wings in the group stages earlier, and then they went on and they gave who did they play in the semi? They played OG, right? Yeah, they actually gave OG a run for their money. They did take them to 3 games. Was that the only loss? I guess outside of the grand finals where they lost that game 3, yeah, that was the only loss for OG was against WG Unity. So, again, WG Unity, another team that's really kind of surprised a lot of people, I'm sure, and actually looked pretty good and definitely representing Southeast Asia pretty well. And look forward to seeing how they continue to progress. But they were a fun and positive storyline. Now, on the other side, again, Complexity. I was actually sitting with the family of Complexity, had a great time hanging out with the whole team as well as, the family and everything. But it was a little hard, watching that series and seeing them not get dominated necessarily, but, losing the series in the end, 2-0. They got out drafted, no doubt. The Timbersaw of WG Unity. Who was playing that? It was Nana, I believe. Yeah, Nana of Warriors Gaming Unity. He played a phenomenal Timbersaw both games, and it just really, it seemed like it caught Complexity off guard. They were not expecting that. They were not prepared for it, whatever it is. And ultimately, they fell short in their first-round matchup as a result. So, Complexity, disappointed there, but in high spirits after about a day or so. Again, they were cheering and rooting and having a lot of fun with the event after that day or so in between. Because, again, they still got a fair amount of money, and it is a team that, they are using a new player in Monkeys now who, by the way, I think stepped it up pretty well at this event. And, I think the deceiving theme for them was the fact that they're coming off 2 victories over EG in the group stages. So, maybe they almost overhyped themselves as a result of that. And not that they shouldn't. I mean, definitely a team that had potential to at least make top 8, let alone possibly go further, especially in the single elimination format. But in the end, again, they ran into a tough matchup there in the first round. WG Unity, who was playing very, very well, and they fell short. So, Newbie is maybe another one that's like, holy shit, they finished in that last place spot. But again, they ran into the hot team that is Ad Phenom in that first round, losing 2-1, excuse me, and that's where it started for Ad Phenom as far as going all the way to the grand finals. So, but I don't think anyone was imagine if Newbie ended up winning this in the end, how different this event would have felt. I gotta say, that's so crazy to even think back at now. If Newbie actually beat Ad Phenom in the first round, which very likely could have happened, then the tournament really would have felt so much different. Ad Phenom gave the event so much hype, and it was, if I was an organizer for the event or whatever, it's like, thank God they beat Newbie, and they did as well as they did, because it really couldn't have finished any better. I mean, sure, you could argue maybe them winning it all in the end would have just been the cherry on top, but OG deserved it. OG absolutely deserved it. And at the same time, again, you have the idea that OG, now a 3-time major champion, that is a good storyline in themselves. And they are a sexy team. They are a sellable team that, a lot of people do enjoy as well, including myself. So I think, with the way the results played out, I don't think anyone could be that upset about, unless they're just diehard fans and maybe the Chinese teams who happen to do pretty poorly. In fact, pretty much all the Chinese teams got knocked out in the first round, right? Yeah, you had eHome losing to NP, you had IG Vitality losing to Virtus Pro, Wings losing to EG, and then the LGDs faced off, and then LFY actually beat LGD. That was an upset in itself. See, LFY all of a sudden the only team in the top 8, and then they lose to Ad Phenom, and then obviously semifinals, there's no Chinese teams left. So it's kind of interesting how it played out and how it ran out that way. But anyways, so that's kind of a recap there of the event and my personal idea or my personal feelings on how it played out and what happened there. But again, a big victory for OG in the end. Ad Phenom, the storyline, the hot story of the event, and the fact that only one of the 5 Chinese teams even made it a top 8 and then eliminated from there, just absolutely insane in itself. What an event we had! A lot of fun just for being there, and again, I got to see so many people. So I pretty much I got to say hi to everyone. I got to say hi to everyone that I wanted to at the event and more on top of that. Made new friends and everything. So, and then of course there was the big announcements that took place. One being the announcement of the Kiev Major, which I see somebody in chat bringing up. The Kiev Major officially announced. It's going to be taking place in April, I believe. Am I going to be going? honestly, if as far as me just going on my personal time, probably not. That's not as sexy for me as of an idea as Boston just made so much sense. It is a 2.5 hour flight for me. It was a fairly cheaper plane ticket. Just in general, things were a little bit cheaper to okay, let's make it work. Kiev a little bit different of a story. So unless I'm going there as some kind of talent, probably not. I understand that I'm still very new to the scene, so there's probably a good chance I will not be making it. But hey, who knows, right? It's December. That's 4 months away. Who knows what the fuck's going to happen in 4 months, especially with the announcement of 7.0. Oh my God! But again, I'm not gonna go over the whole patch. I'm not gonna do that here. I want to play some Dota, honestly. So I'm gonna wrap it up there as far as. Oh no, there's one thing else I wanted to bring up for the daily recap here. Another interesting thing. Speaking of 7.0, a very something that's kind of curious too is that tournaments, they're forced to just adapt now. I mean, even tournaments that were set to start or are currently happening, it's like all of a sudden this patch just came out last night. Guess what? You're playing a new game now, ladies and gentlemen. You're gonna have fun playing essentially what is a fairly new game. So this is the first official LAN tournament that's taken place, and it's set to happen soon, I think. Let me actually go to the front page of it probably has like a countdown timer here somewhere. World Cyber Arena, yeah, it's set to happen about 8.5 hours from now. So in 8.5 hours, TNC versus VG is kicking things off here for the World Cyber Arena 2016. Now, it's interesting because the World Cyber Arena, they do have history of being a fairly poorly run event, unfortunately. I've done some research on this, and to be blunt, guys, there was a chance that I was possibly going to go to this event. I was actually asked, I was invited to see if I was interested in maybe attending this event. After a lot of discussions, though, and just things not really coming together, it was decided that I did not want to go in the end. So, again, I definitely have some good reasons. I think it's safe to say for not deciding to go in the end. But it is what it is. So I'm hoping that bigger and better opportunities can continue to come up. But so my point is, so I was doing a little bit of research into this event because of that, and yeah, it's unfortunately had some pretty bad stuff that's happened in the past. Now, I say it's interesting though because here we are with this new patch 7.00. This is going to be the first official LAN tournament taking place with this new patch. So not only on top of them being notorious for having some issues in their previous events when it comes to the production, when it comes to just the organization of it in general, they're now playing what is essentially a new game. I keep going back to that. I mean, whether that's for good or for bad, I mean, it's up for debate. And again, I personally say I'm excited for these changes, but it's going to be kind of a new game. So that in itself will give a lot of attention to this event, and I know I'm very curious, just as so many others out there, to see how teams like Newbie, like Wings Gaming. Wait, where's Wings Gaming? Did they drop out? Oh my God, Wings were replaced by Vici. Interesting. Yeah, see, Wings was initially part of this, but okay, so now Vici's actually playing in place of them. So interesting. But yeah, you see the lineup here. You got Pro Dota Gaming, you got Vega Squadron, which I like Vega Squadron. TNC from Southeast Asia here. Warriors Gaming Unity. It's going to be fun seeing them. Obviously, again, they had a pretty solid Boston Major performance there. They got to be one of the favorite teams in this event, honestly, looking at this lineup right here. So, point is, it's going to be interesting to see how this event kind of plays out, being that it is the first official LAN post 7.00. It's going to be interesting no matter what, just to kind of see, I hate saying it like this, but just to see a little bit of the shit show that may take place when knowing the history of this event. But, hey, who knows? Maybe they got everything together, and this event's going to be perfect and fantastic. So, but, yeah, going to be checking that out. And then there's things like, I know the Pro Dota Cup actually starts today. The European region, if I'm not mistaken, is kicking off today. In fact, is that on here? Yeah, Pro Dota Cup Europe. Oh, Solid Dudes versus IKEA is supposed to be happening here soon. Are you kidding me? Oh my God.